Hello and welcome to the workshop, the top 10 sneakers of the decade. This has been a long time coming, well, a decade to be exact. Now, before we jump into the sneakers, before we dive into this carefully crafted and compiled list, I want to say thank you to StockX, the sponsor of today's video. I'm sure a lot of you are already familiar with StockX, but for those of you who are not, StockX is a platform, website, app on which and through which you can buy and sell verified, authentic sneakers. Speaking of which, and why it's relevant to this video, you can find every single sneaker on this list on StockX. New, old, super hyped, or way under the radar, you can really find it all. So that plus the overall layout, the way you're able to navigate, how it shows which way sneakers are trending, it's just the best platform in the space in my opinion. I'd say I'm surfing StockX at least a few times a week, hunting for different sneakers, just myself personally. So we will put a link in the description of this video and you can check them out for yourself. You can see what you can find, see how you like it. Now, with that said, let the listage commence. The best 10 sneakers, the most impactful. That's kind of how we gauged it. And we'll just go year by year. That's the easiest way to do it. That's the fairest way to do it in my opinion. So here are the top 10 sneakers of the decade. Starting off 2010, the LeBron 8 South Beach, also known as the Preheat. This shoe right here, greatest LeBron of all time. You could certainly debate that, but you cannot debate the impact that this sneaker had. LeBron went to Miami. All of that talk, all of that excitement, all of that energy was encapsulated into this sneaker. And man, after these, everyone was doing South Beach colorways. Different shoes, different brands. It felt like the South Beach colorway was everywhere over the next couple years. Nike really started the decade off with a boom with this sneaker. 2011, the New Balance 999 Kennedy. This is kind of the perfect sneaker in my opinion. 10 out of 10. It's one of those shoes that really has no flaws. It's my favorite New Balance sneaker ever, just for me. This was a collaboration with Concepts, a sneaker boutique in the Boston area. A lot of you are familiar with Concepts. They've done a ton of dope work, but this shoe might be their best work. I think this was really a sneaker that helped catapult runners into the sneakerhead mainstream, for lack of a better way to describe it, especially in the United States. Other places were already big on runners and this style of sneaker, but this shoe was one of those shoes that over the next couple years, it had people who only wore Jordans or only wore basketball sneakers really wanting New Balance and really wanting sneakers of this style. So these were a game changer 100%. 2012, the Nike Air Foamposite One Galaxy. I'm sure a lot of you remember this sneaker was crazy. I mean, when you talk about impact, hype, these were the epitome of those things in 2012. I still remember going to the mall. Buckets, who was behind the camera, him and I, we went to the mall for the release and they shut it down. There were thousands of people there. It was insane. The Foamposite was a sneaker of the past. And I'm not sure if you remember, but after Nike released these, it felt like there were 100 Foamposite colorways, a lot of them with prints or crazy prints like these. Now for me, the Foamposite is one of my personal favorites of all time. Not necessarily this colorway, just in general, but I think this Galaxy pair had the most influence. This is the pair that really got people going on a larger scale. Again, people who didn't even like Foamposites, people who never owned a pair of Foamposites, the Galaxy really brought the Foamposite to them and to the forefront of sneakers at that time. 2013, the Asics Gel Lyte III ECP Knicks by Ronnie Fieg. Similar to the New Balance Kennedy, these really moved people in the direction of runners. Whether it was New Balance or Asics or even other brands, people who never paid attention to those brands and to those sneakers were clamoring to get their hands on a pair of these. Now, Ronnie collaborated and created a bunch of sneakers, but this was really in the thick of it all, just like the timing of it. It was just a really big release. It's kind of hard to explain. My brother and I were actually in Miami for the release. Ronnie was on fire at this time. Kith was on fire, runners were on fire, and I think that this was definitely the best sneaker that year. 2014, the Nike Air Yeezy 2 Red October. I think you could argue this one is the sneaker of the entire decade, just in regard to impact and what it kind of created. Obviously, the Air Yeezy 2 was a really big deal, that goes without saying, and had these never released, one of the other two colorways would surely be here in its place. But the hype around the Air Yeezy 2, it was just crazy. But after the Red Octobers, it was like everyone was doing all red sneakers. And yes, I understand that this wasn't the first all red shoe. I'm just saying these had everyone trying to mimic the energy with the all red colorways, and with Kanye moving over to Adidas, this sneaker got kind of put on a pedestal. It was held as like this holy grail sneaker, the Red October craze. The energy was just different, and the Red October was really something that we had not seen. 2015, the Adidas Ultra Boost. This is another one I think you could argue might be at the top of the list as far as the decade goes. This was a sneaker my brother and I were really waiting for. The Pure Boost had already released. Those obviously had Boost technology, but they didn't come in a size 13. So this Ultra Boost was our first introduction to the Boost cushioning technology, as well as a lot of other people. This was the Boost pioneer and really set off a little bit of a cushioning technology war between Nike and Adidas and even other brands. The Ultra Boost had the game in a chokehold though for like a couple years. This was the beginning of Boost is life. Looking back at it now, Boost has lost a lot of that energy, but if you remember back a few years, remember back to this time, nothing was bigger than the Ultra Boost. Absolutely nothing. 2016, the Adidas Yeezy Boost 350 V2 Beluga, more Yeezy, more Boost. It's funny, but you can kind of see the trajectory starting from the beginning of the decade and moving forward. Obviously, runners had become very popular. Yeezy was very popular, and now Boost had become very popular, and this sneaker kind of encompassed all of those things. The regular 350 was really sought after, but the V2 was a much better sneaker and kind of took things to even another level. Now, the Beluga isn't necessarily my favorite colorway per se. I'd probably give that title to the Zebra, just for me personally, but the Beluga was the first colorway and so probably deserves the crown. And again, impact. In 2016, the V2 was a beast, an absolute beast. 2017, the off-white Nike Air Jordan 1 in this Chicago colorway. This sneaker is incredible. It's pretty polarizing. People seem to either love them or hate them, but again, the influence is really hard to argue. What Virgil did with Nike, this sneaker specifically, is probably something that I've never seen before. It's another one you could probably call sneaker of the decade and be completely justified. It really moved the needle that much. This DIY type of feel that Virgil created, these off-white details, from flat out ripping them off to taking cues and inspiration from this very collaboration. I think it's the best collab in sneaker history. You know, the timing on it was just perfect as well. The fact that it's a Jordan 1, which has become the most popular Jordan retro of the decade. No Jordan retro gets consistently hyped up and is as sought after consistently as Jordan 1s are, which is funny because it wasn't always that way. So this sneaker was a pretty perfect combination of a few different things and was definitely a grand slam. 2018, the Nike Air Max 197 by Sean Witherspoon. I've ranted and raved about these many times in many different videos. I'm sure some of you have seen those videos. We even walked around and asked old ladies how they felt about them.
So you have the same hair on?
I do. You know, you're the first person who's noticed, actually. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. It's funny. Yeah. So what do you think about the sneaker?
I think it looks like it'd be very comfortable. It holds the foot nice and firm.
No matter who you are, it is hard to deny how dope these are. The dopeness that this sneaker possesses. I feel like this was one of the sneakers that really kind of revitalized collabs of this nature. Collabs had gotten really popular, then they had gotten really stagnant and overdone, and these breathed quite a bit of life and energy back into things. They were limited. They have not, as of yet anyway, seen a sequel. There were samples floating around, but it was so much different than what we were seeing at the time, and it's such a unique sneaker that I think these more than earned a rightful spot on this list. 2019, last but not least, the Sacai and Nike LDV Waffle. I got this sneaker pretty early in the year. I want to say around March, and as soon as I got them, again, some of you are going to remember this, I knew that they would be the consensus sneaker of the year. That's what I was saying. They are that good. And part of that resurgence of collaborations right in that whole mix. And again, to touch on the trajectory or the evolution, hindsight is always 2020, right? No pun intended. 2020 is upon us, so makes sense. But looking back, you can really see the evolution. And even these are kind of the same ilk as the Off-White Jordan 1. Not quite as DIY, but definitely they have that reconstructed feel, you know, breaking a sneaker model down and building it back up the way that you envision it. The blue and the red colorway, the original pair that released, will probably always be top dog, but there were several other pairs that were really, really dope. Whichever colorway is your favorite, I think it's hard to deny that this was the best sneaker of 2019 and is definitely a great way to cap it off. So Nike started the decade with a boom and definitely ended the decade with a boom. There you have it, the 10 best sneakers of the decade. It's crazy how quick these 10 years have gone by, but we have definitely gotten a lot of really dope sneakers in that time span. Hopefully the next 10 years slow down a little bit, but hopefully the sneakers keep flowing. Let us know what you think. Do you agree with this list? Did we leave a pair off the list that deserves to be there? Which sneaker do you think is the best sneaker of the decade? What's that one sneaker that stands above the rest? What sneaker has the crown for this decade? Leave a comment below and let us know. Always love to hear from you. We may not be able to respond to every single comment, but we are definitely going to read every single comment because I'm really curious as to what that sneaker is for all of you. Thank you for watching. You are very, very appreciated. We will be back tomorrow, mañana. Same time, same place, right here at the workshop with a brand new video, a brand new sneaker for your head top. Adios.